Good morning. I'm so glad you could join us. This is the second Q&A session about the Hedgehog Conservation Game. Hopefully your game is working perfectly, but if not, don't panic. It's easy to make mistakes. If you've got any questions at all, add them in the chat on the side and then we'll try and answer them for you. I'll go through a couple of common problems first, just so we can make sure we cover anything you might encounter. So we've added lots of variables this time. We've got speed, hog health and timer. We need to make sure that those are all working correctly. What problems might you find then? What you might find is when you start the game, so when you click the green flag, your hog health is at 0. That's an easy mistake to make because if you look over here, it says set hog health to. It always starts at 0. So it's an easy mistake to just grab this block and forget to change it. So make sure your hog health is changed. So you just need to click in here and write a number. So you could write whatever number you want. We want it to be 100. So make sure you've clicked in there and typed 100. I'll throw that block away. There we go. So that's a common problem because the variables, you've got to make sure you set them up when you start. So we've got speed and hog health here and timer is in the backdrops. What other things might you encounter? So your variables don't go back to the original values when you start the game. That's a common problem. So when you click the green flag, the game starts again. And the person can drive their hedgehog around. The timer should start from 0, the hog health stay at 100, and your speed should be at 2, or whatever you set it at. If you haven't got these set blocks in here, with the values in, just after the green flag, so they need to be right after the green flag, so just here, otherwise they won't work. If they're inside one of the loops, they will just be a bit confusing and who knows what will happen. Let's put those back together. There we go. Right, so the other one to check is the timer, and you might be panicking and say, where's my timer code? But remember, we put it down in the backdrop, so you have to go down here to the bottom right and click on this garden. There we go, there's the timer code. So you can see the same things we've talked about. You should have set timer to 0 at the beginning, and then inside this forever loop, wait 1 second and change timer by 1. So if I click the green flag, the timer goes back to 0 and starts again. So if your timer isn't doing what you expected, click on the backdrops and check your code in here. Right, that covers that. Let's go back to the hedgehog. Another common problem I've seen is the hedgehog going backwards, which is an easy mistake to make. It's often a problem with, if we go down a bit, there we go, with the left and down arrows. Because if you remember, the left arrow, we're moving in the X direction, so we're going across the screen here. Here you can see the axes in Scratch. So they go right across the middle of the screen. So here's the x-axis. So when the hedgehog is in the middle and wants to go left, he's going down this way. So if you think about a number line, this is 0 and we're going -1, -2. So you need to take away 2 each time you move. So if your hedgehog's doing something funny when going left or down, you need to check you've got this. So it was -2 to make sure we could move to the left on the x-axis. So we need to add this block, and if you remember, we got this from the operators category. Sometimes these are a bit hard to see. Make sure you've got the right one of these blocks here. We need this one, the take away one. So grab that and put it inside there. There we go. And this one you just click in and make sure it's this way around. So you need 0 take away speed, because if we go back to here again, we're talking about 0 take away speed. So 0 take away 2 would take us to -2. So then we'd take -2 steps each time, which means the hedgehog will go left. And speed, remember we got that from variables. There we go, these are the variables to use in your equations. So we need to grab speed and put it inside there. There we go. So we can throw away this because I've just made it again. Lovely. When you've made changes, make sure you check your code works. So does my hedgehog still go up? Yep. Right? Yep. Left? Yeah. And down. So make sure you check your changes and click Save Now. If it says project saved, or if it doesn't say anything up there, it means that it saved it. Can you see there's nothing there now? So it's saved already. So check that with the down arrow too. So the down arrow is going down in the Y direction. So if we look here, we're going down this way. So we need to take away 2 again. So again, the code needs to be 0, take away speed. So you saw how to do that there. So that's great. We've got that one covered. Let's have a look. The other thing you might encounter is your hedgehog going either really fast or really slow. Something you need to check if you've got that problem is go up to the top here and check this one. So set speed to 2. So we did experiment with this a bit, didn't we? So you may have left it at a higher number. So if I put in 10, for example, and click the green flag, look what happens to my hedgehog. He takes quite big jumps now, doesn't he? So I can see that something's different about speed. So you can change with it a bit, but remember a hedgehog doesn't zoom along. He's not an Olympic athlete, so a lower number is probably going to be better. I've gone with 2. You can experiment and see what works for your hedgehog. There we go, there's my hedgehog. Lovely. So any other problems? We haven't got any questions anymore. If you had any problems with lesson 1, then remember we had a Q&A session last week where we covered common problems in lesson 1. So make sure you have a look at that. If you've got any problems in the week, you can ask them on the website. So that's earthgames.uk, and there's Ask an Expert, and that will send it through to us and we'll have a look. The only other one I remembered I haven't covered actually is that you can't find the drop down for a pond, for a hedgehog I mean. Let me show you what I mean. So in this code, when the hedgehog goes to the pond, do you remember what happens? There you go. The health starts to go up. So the problem you might have is when you're making that code, in this drop down, you can't find hedgehog. Hedgehog isn't there. Now the important thing to check is that you're not making it in the hedgehog code. So let me show you what I mean. If I make the code in here, so I'm going to do the same code. So I had a when flag clicked block. I had a forever loop. I think it was inside if loop. There we go. And so I had the sensing block in here, touching block. So click on sensing. So if I put this one in here, so I want to find hedgehog in here. It's not got hedgehog, has it? That's because we're making the code inside the hedgehog code area, which would work if you changed it to be pond instead. But we're going to have quite a lot of code in the hedgehog, so that's why we've decided to make it in the pond. Next week we're going to add even more code to the hedgehog. So putting it in the pond code area is quite good. Plus we need this go to back layer block, so we might as well add a bit more code on anyway. So if you can't find that drop down, make sure in the corner you'll see which area you're in. So this is the hedgehog code area, and this has got the hedgehog highlighted. You need to be in the pond code area with the pond up here, and then you'll be able to find hedgehog. Once we get more sprites, which we will next week, then you'll get more things to add on here. You'll have a lot more selections to choose from, and we'll be making the most of them. Let me throw away this code. So I think that's covered all the common problems. One thing you might come across is that your project doesn't save when you want to leave. Sometimes you click on Save Now and it just goes onto a timer and doesn't save. The main reason that happens is there's a bit of a glitch in Scratch, and if you haven't logged out last time, when you log in again, it often doesn't save correctly. So when you finished working, click Save Now, and that should work, and go over here and click Sign Out. So make sure you sign out each time you've used Scratch, because otherwise you might have problems saving your project next time. So that's everything we're doing today. Next week, I know it's half term for some of you, but we'll still be here, so hopefully you can join us on Friday at 10 o'clock. So the next lesson, we're going to add some more sprites down here. We're going to add some more food for the hedgehog. I wonder if you can think what we're going to create. Have a think about it and join us next week at 10 o'clock. Any problems, then do send us a message through the website. See you next week.